Deadweight? The word hit her like a bullet. 32 elite warriors laughed as she stood alone in formation. No medals, no patches, no history. Then General Richard Drake grabbed her wrist. His fingers found the tattoo hidden beneath her sleeve. A crescent moon pierced by 3 arrows. The color drained from his face. "Where did you get this?" His voice cracked like shattered glass. She didn't flinch, didn't blink. "You know where." That mark was supposed to have died with 36 children 15 years ago. Elena Vance was the only one who crawled out of the grave. Fort Bragg, North Carolina. October 2024. The morning formation began at 0500 hours. 32 elite operators stood in perfect lines, their breath-forming clouds in the cold October air at Fort Bragg. Navy SEALs, Delta Force, Marine Raiders, Air Force Pararescue. Each uniform displayed rows of ribbons, combat patches, deployment badges earned through blood and sacrifice. And then there was Elena Vance. She stood in the back row, 5th from the right. Her uniform was blank. No insignia, no decorations, nothing but standard-issue fabric and a face that revealed absolutely nothing. Sergeant First Class Marcus Cole noticed her immediately. "What the hell is that?" he muttered to the ranger beside him. "New transfer. Showed up 3 days ago." "Transfer from where? The Girl Scouts?" Laughter rippled through the formation. Elena didn't react. Her hazel eyes remained fixed forward, cataloging every voice, every face, every name. Master Sergeant Frank Patterson, the senior instructor, walked the line with a clipboard. He stopped in front of Elena. "Specialist Vance." "Present, Master Sergeant." "Your file says you're 20 years old." "Correct, Master Sergeant." "Your file also says you have 0 combat deployments, 0 specialized training certifications, and 0 explanation for how you qualified for this program." Elena's expression didn't change. "I qualified, Master Sergeant." Patterson leaned closer. "This is the Joint Special Operations Assessment Program, the most demanding training in the United States military. Half of these operators won't make it through. Men with 10 years of combat experience wash out in the first week." "I understand, Master Sergeant." "Do you? Because right now, you look like someone's administrative error." Cole's voice carried from the front row. "Deadweight, Master Sergeant. That's what we're calling her. Deadweight Vance." More laughter. Patterson didn't stop it. "Dismissed to your training blocks," he announced. "Specialist Vance, you're assigned to Team 3. Try not to get anyone killed." The formation broke. Elena remained motionless for 3 seconds, watching Cole's team gather their gear. Then she moved silent as a shadow toward her assigned block. Corporal Jamie Reyes fell into step beside her. 24 years old. Marine Raider. 2 deployments to Syria. The only other woman in the program. "Don't let them get to you," Reyes said quietly. "They don't. Cole's been running his mouth since you arrived. He's threatened by you." Elena glanced at her. "Threatened by what? I haven't done anything." "Exactly. You haven't reacted. You haven't complained. You haven't tried to prove yourself. It's making them nervous." "Good." Reyes studied her for a moment. "Who are you, Vance?" "Really?" Elena's eyes met hers. Cold. Calculating. Ancient in a face too young to hold such weight. "Nobody important." She walked away before Reyes could respond. The mess hall was loud with testosterone and competition. Elena sat alone at a corner table, eating methodically, watching everything. Cole's team occupied the center tables, their voices carrying across the room. "I'm telling you, someone pulled strings," Cole was saying. "There's no way a 20-year-old with a blank jacket gets into this program legitimately." "Maybe she's someone's daughter," another ranger suggested. "General's kid trying to pad her resume." "Or someone's mistress." The table erupted in laughter. Cole stood up. "I'm going to find out." He crossed the mess hall, his boots heavy on the concrete floor. The room grew quiet. Everyone watched. Cole stopped at Elena's table, looming over her. "Hey, Deadweight." Elena continued eating. "I'm talking to you." She set down her fork, looked up. Her face was perfectly neutral. "Can I help you, Sergeant?" "Yeah. You can explain how you got here." "I qualified for the program." "Bullshit. I've seen your file. It's practically empty. No training records before you turned 18. No family history. No origin story. It's like you didn't exist until 2 years ago." Elena's eyes flickered. Something moved behind them. Something dark and dangerous, but it vanished so quickly Cole wasn't sure he'd seen it. "My history isn't your concern, Sergeant." "It is, when I'm stuck on a team with you. When my life might depend on someone who probably can't field strip an M4 without instructions." Elena stood slowly. She was shorter than Cole by 6 inches, lighter by 80 pounds. But something in her posture made him take a half step back. "I can field strip an M4 in 32 seconds, she said quietly. "Blindfolded. I can also field strip an AK-47 in 28 seconds, an MP5 in 35, and a Barrett M82 in under 2 minutes. I can shoot sub-MOA groups at 800 meters with iron sights. I can navigate by stars in any hemisphere. I can survive for 3 weeks in hostile territory with nothing but a knife and paracord." She stepped closer. Cole's team had stopped laughing. "And I can tell you the 7 different ways I could kill you with this fork before anyone in this room could stop me." The mess hall was silent. Elena sat back down and resumed eating. Cole's face had gone red. "You threatening me, Deadweight?" "I'm informing you, Sergeant, there's a difference." For a long moment, Cole stood there, fists clenched, jaw tight. Then he turned and walked back to his table. But Elena noticed his hands were shaking. The first training exercise began at 1400 hours. Close quarters, combat assessment. The instructors paired operators randomly recording performance metrics for the program's evaluation database. Elena was paired against Cole. "Well, well." Cole grinned, bouncing on his feet in the training circle. "Looks like I get to see if you can back up that talk." The other trainees gathered around the circle. Reyes watched from the back, her expression concerned. Master Sergeant Patterson stood at the edge with his clipboard. "Full contact, non-lethal. Match ends on submission knockout, or my call. Understood." "Understood, Master Sergeant," they said in unison. Patterson blew his whistle. Cole moved first fast, aggressive, confident. He'd been wrestling since high school, had earned his combatives instructor certification in Ranger School, had choked out men twice Elena's size. He shot for a double-leg takedown. Elena sprawled, stuffing the attempt, but Cole adjusted, caught her in a body lock, and threw her to the mat. The impact was hard. The trainees cheered. "Come on, Deadweight," someone yelled. "At least make it interesting." Cole mounted her, moving to secure a dominant position. Elena bucked once, twice, but couldn't escape. He wrapped his arm around her neck, setting up a rear naked choke. "Told you," he whispered in her ear. "You don't belong here." Elena tapped. Patterson blew the whistle. "Winner, Sergeant Cole. Reset." Cole stood, raising his arms to the cheering crowd. Elena rose slowly, brushing off her uniform. "Again," she said. Cole turned. "What?" "Again. Best of 3. Patterson raised an eyebrow, but nodded. "Reset positions. Begin on my whistle." The second round went faster. Cole was overconfident, now sloppy. He charged straight in, and Elena let him catch her, let him throw her, let him mount her again. But this time, when he reached for the choke, her body moved. It was like watching water flow, liquid, inevitable, perfectly controlled. She trapped his arm, bridged her hips, and reversed the position in one seamless motion. Suddenly, she was on top, her forearm pressed against his throat, her knee pinning his hip. Cole struggled. She adjusted. He struggled harder. She tightened. "Tap," she said calmly. "Go to hell." She pressed harder. Cole's face went red. "Tap, Sergeant, or I crush your windpipe." "Elena," Patterson warned. She released the pressure slightly. Cole tapped. The crowd was silent now. "Tied at 1 each," Patterson announced. "Final round." Cole stood, his breath ragged, his eyes burning with humiliation. "Lucky escape, Deadweight. Won't happen twice." Elena said nothing. She reset her position. Waited. The whistle blew. Cole charged, and Elena moved. Later, the other trainees would argue about what they'd seen. Some said it was wrestling. Some said it was jiu-jitsu. Some said it was something they'd never witnessed in any training program, any combat school, any martial arts discipline they knew. In 4 seconds, Cole was on the ground. His arm was hyperextended. His shoulder was 1 inch from dislocation. His face was pressed into the mat with Elena's knee on his neck. She didn't wait for him to tap. She just held him there, completely immobilized, while the entire room stared. "Deadweight," she whispered, so only he could hear. "That's what you called me. You were wrong, Sergeant. I'm not Deadweight." She released him and stood. "I'm the one who survived." Patterson's voice cut through the stunned silence. "Winner Specialist Vance. Match ends." The viewing gallery overlooked the training floor. General Richard Drake had arrived 30 minutes earlier, ostensibly to observe the new assessment class. He stood at the window now, his hands clasped behind his back, his ice-blue eyes fixed on the young woman who had just dismantled one of his best rangers. "Who is she?" he asked. His aide, Captain William Nash, checked his tablet. "Specialist Elena Vance, sir, 20 years old, transferred from... it doesn't say where. Her file is unusually thin." "Show me." Nash handed over the tablet. Drake scrolled through the sparse information. Date of birth, social security number, basic training completion, nothing else. "This is all of it?" "Yes, sir. It's like her records were sealed, or deleted." Drake's jaw tightened. He'd seen files like this before. Files that were intentionally scrubbed. Files that existed only to create a paper identity for someone who wasn't supposed to exist at all. "Nash, sir. I want a full background check on Specialist Vance. Deep dive. Go beyond the official records. Sir, that would require authorization from... I'm giving you the authorization. Do it quietly, and do it fast." "Yes, sir." Nash left. Drake remained at the window, watching Elena walk off the training floor. Something about her movement. Something about her stillness. Something about the way she'd held Cole's arm, not breaking it, not showing off, just controlling him with perfect efficiency. He'd seen that before, a long time ago, in a place that didn't officially exist. His hand moved unconsciously to his chest, where a different scar, a different memory, a different nightmare lived beneath his uniform. "Impossible," he murmured. "They're all dead." But even as he said it, he didn't believe it. Night fell over Fort Bragg. Elena sat alone in the empty armory, cleaning her issued weapon with methodical precision. The other trainees were in the barracks recovering from the day's training. She preferred the solitude. The door opened. Reyes entered. "Mind if I join you?" Elena didn't look up. "It's a shared space." Reyes sat across from her, pulling out her own weapon for cleaning. For several minutes they worked in silence. "Where'd you learn to fight like that?" Reyes finally asked. "A round." "That wasn't a round. That was professional. That was trained. Years of training." Elena's hands never stopped moving. "Why do you care?" "Because I've been in this program for a week, and I've seen a lot of skilled operators. Rangers with 6 deployments. SEALs with confirmed kills in double digits. Delta boys who've done things that'll never make it into any history book." She leaned forward. "And none of them move like you." Elena finally looked up. Her eyes met Reyes's, and for a moment the mask slipped. Reyes glimpsed something beneath the cold exterior. Pain, rage, and something else. Fear. You want to know where I learned to fight? Elena's voice was barely above a whisper. I learned by fighting for my life. Every day. From the time I was old enough to hold a weapon until the day I escaped. Escaped from what? Elena's jaw tightened. She returned to cleaning her weapon. A nightmare, Corporal. A nightmare that was supposed to stay buried. Before Reyes could respond, the armory door banged open. Captain Nash stood in the doorway, 2 military police officers behind him. Specialist Vance. Elena didn't stand. Captain, General Drake requests your presence in his office, immediately. Reyes frowned. It's 2200 hours, sir. Can this wait until morning? No, Corporal, it cannot. Nash's eyes were cold. Specialist Vance, now. Elena set down her weapon. She looked at Reyes for a moment, a look that said something important, something urgent. Then stood and followed Nash out of the armory. Reyes sat alone, her mind racing. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. She pulled out her phone and began typing a message. General Drake's office was decorated with 40 years of military history. Photographs of deployments, commendations, medals in shadow boxes, a flag from Desert Storm, another from Afghanistan, and on his desk, a single photograph that Elena noticed immediately. A group of children in military training gear standing in front of a concrete building. Their faces were young, 8, 9, 10 years old, but their eyes were old, hard, empty. Elena recognized the building. She recognized the uniforms, and in the back row, barely visible, she recognized herself. Drake sat behind his desk, his fingers steepled, his expression unreadable. Sit down, Specialist. Elena remained standing. I prefer to stand, sir. That wasn't a request. She sat. For a long moment, Drake just stared at her. Then he reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a file folder. Do you know what this is? No, sir. It's everything we could find on you. Your entire existence summarized in 12 pages. He dropped the folder on the desk. Do you want to know what's interesting about this file, Specialist? Elena said nothing. What's interesting is that it begins on your 18th birthday, your birth certificate, your social security card, your basic training enrollment, all dated the same day. He leaned forward. It's as if you were born fully formed 2 years ago. No childhood, no parents, no history, just a name, a number, and a set of skills that shouldn't exist in someone your age. Elena's hands were steady. Her voice was calm. I had a difficult childhood, sir. I prefer not to discuss it. I'm sure you do. Drake stood walking around the desk. But I'm not asking about your preferences, Specialist. I'm asking about your origins. He stopped in front of her chair, looking down. Who trained you? The Army trained me, sir. Before the Army. Who made you what you are? Elena's jaw tightened. I don't know what you mean, sir. Don't you? Drake's voice dropped. Show me your left wrist. For the first time, Elena's composure cracked. A flicker of something, panic perhaps, or calculation, crossed her face. My wrist, sir. You heard me. Left sleeve up, now. Elena didn't move. Drake reached down and grabbed her arm. His grip was strong, strong enough to hurt, and he yanked her sleeve up before she could stop him. The tattoo was there. Small, black, precise. A crescent moon pierced by 3 arrows. Drake's face went white. His grip faltered. He stumbled back as if he'd been shot. That's impossible, he whispered. That's impossible. Elena stood slowly. Her mask was gone now. In its place was something cold and ancient and absolutely lethal. What's the matter, General? You look like you've seen a ghost. You can't be. Drake's voice cracked. They're all dead. I was told they were all dead. You were lied to. Who are you? Elena smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. My name is Elena Vance. My father was Master Sergeant Daniel Vance, Chief Instructor of Project Nightfall. 15 years ago, someone ordered the termination of that program. Someone ordered the murder of 37 children to bury the evidence. She stepped closer. 36 of those children are dead, General, but I survived. Drake's hand moved toward his sidearm. Elena was faster. In one motion, she had his wrist locked. His arm twisted, his body pinned against the desk. His sidearm clattered to the floor. "Don't," she said quietly. "You're not fast enough. You never were." "How?" Drake gasped. "How did you survive?" "My father warned me. The night before the termination order, he came to my quarters. He told me to run. He told me to hide. He told me to survive until I was strong enough to come back." Her grip tightened. He died 12 hours later, killed by the same people who murdered the children he'd sworn to protect. "I didn't." Drake was struggling to breathe. "I didn't order the termination. I tried to stop it. I leaked the order so some of you could escape." "Liar." "It's the truth. The order came from above me, from the commission. 12 men who operate outside any oversight. I was just a colonel then. I had no power to—" "You had power to save us. You chose not to use it." "I tried. I saved who I could." Elena released him. Drake collapsed against his desk, gasping. "If you tried to save us," Elena said, "then prove it. Tell me who gave the termination order. Tell me who runs the commission." Drake was silent. "Tell me, General." "I can't." "Can't or won't?" "Both." Drake's voice was barely a whisper. "If I tell you, they'll kill me. They'll kill my family. They'll kill everyone I've ever loved." "And if you don't tell me," Elena said, "I'll kill you myself." Slowly. The way they killed the children in Facility Echo. Drake's eyes went wide. "You know about Echo." "I know about everything, General. 15 years is a long time to prepare, a long time to investigate, a long time to build a list of names." She leaned closer. "Your name was on that list, right until 5 minutes ago, but I'm willing to give you a chance to remove it." "How?" "Help me. Help me find the people responsible. Help me destroy the commission from the inside." Drake shook his head. "You don't understand what you're asking. The commission isn't a group you can fight. It's not a conspiracy you can expose. It's a system embedded in every level of military and intelligence leadership. If you try to bring it down, they'll erase you. They'll erase everyone connected to you. They'll—" His desk phone rang. They both froze. Drake looked at the phone. Elena looked at Drake. "Answer it," she said. His hand trembled as he lifted the receiver. "Yes." A pause. "Yes, sir. She's here." Another pause. Longer this time. Drake's face grew paler with each second. "Understood, sir. I'll handle it." He hung up. "Who was that?" Elena demanded. Drake didn't answer. He just looked at her with an expression she'd never seen on a 4-star general's face. Terror. "Run," he whispered. "What?" "Run. Now. They know you're here. They've been monitoring my office. They heard everything." As if on cue, Elena heard the distant thud of helicopter rotors approaching. "Who's coming, General?" "The cleanup team. The same ones who terminated Nightfall." Drake grabbed her arm. "There's a service tunnel beneath this building. Maintenance access. It leads to the motor pool. Take a vehicle. Get off base. And whatever you do, don't trust anyone." "Why are you helping me?" Drake's eyes were wet. "Because I failed your father. I failed all of you. And if you're really alive, if you're really the last one, then maybe I can finally make it right." The helicopters were closer now. Elena could hear boots in the hallway. "The tunnel," Drake said. "Go." Elena went. Behind her, she heard Drake's door burst open. She heard shouting. She heard his voice raised in protest. Then she heard a single gunshot. And then silence. The tunnel was dark and cold. Elena ran, her footsteps echoing off concrete walls, her mind racing faster than her legs. Drake was dead. Whoever controlled the commission had killed a 4-star general to keep his secrets buried, which meant they would do anything to kill her. She emerged in the motor pool, scanning the rows of vehicles. A Humvee was closest, but too slow. A transport truck too conspicuous. Her eyes settled on a motorcycle, a dirt bike used by base security for perimeter patrols. 30 seconds later, she was on the road. The helicopters were circling the administrative building now. She could see their searchlights in her mirrors, hear their rotors pounding the air. They hadn't spotted her yet. She killed her headlight and rode into the darkness. At the perimeter fence, she stopped. The main gates would be locked down by now. Every checkpoint would have her description. Getting off base legally was impossible. But Elena had studied the base layout for weeks. She knew where the fence was weakest. She rode east toward the training ranges. The fence there was older, built before the security upgrades. And there was a drainage culvert that ran beneath it, too small for vehicles, but just large enough for a person. She found it in the dark, guided by memory alone. Abandoned the bike. Crawled through mud and stagnant water until she emerged on the other side. Free. For now. She walked through the forest, her clothes soaked her body cold, her mind already planning the next move. Drake had said the commission was embedded in every level of leadership. He'd said they were untouchable. But everyone had a weakness. Everyone had a vulnerability. And Elena was going to find theirs. 3 hours later, she reached Fayetteville. A convenience store, a payphone, a number she'd memorized 6 years ago. She dialed. 3 rings. A click. "Identify," said a voice. "Nightfall survivor. Asset 23. Code phrase Broken Moon." A long pause. "That code phrase was decommissioned 15 years ago." "I know, but I'm still alive." Another pause. "Location." "Fayetteville. I need extraction." "Negative. All Nightfall assets were terminated. This line is being traced." "Then trace it fast, because the commission just killed General Drake, and I have information they'll burn this entire city to bury." Silence. Then, 20 minutes, corner of Hay Street and Gillespie, gray sedan, come alone. The line went dead. Elena hung up the phone. She walked into the convenience store, bought a bottle of water, and waited. 20 minutes. She'd been waiting 15 years. She could wait 20 more minutes. The sedan arrived exactly on time. Elena approached cautiously, her hand on the weapon she'd taken from Drake's floor. The rear window rolled down, and she found herself looking at a face she'd never expected to see again. Jamie Reyes. "Get in," Reyes said. "You, get in, now, before they lock down the whole city." Elena got in. The sedan pulled away, merging into traffic. Reyes was in the back seat with her. The driver was a man she didn't recognize, older, hard-faced, with the bearing of someone who'd spent decades in shadows. "I told you I knew about Nightfall," Reyes said. "I told you my brother was a handler." "You said he was murdered." "He was. By the commission. When he tried to help the children escape." Reyes's jaw tightened. He was 22 years old. He believed in the mission until he saw what they were really doing to those kids. And when he tried to stop it, they put a bullet in his head and called it a training accident. Elena studied her. "You've been investigating them." "For 8 years. Ever since I was old enough to understand what really happened to Marcus." Reyes leaned forward. "I joined the Marines because I thought I could find answers from inside. I got into this program because I heard rumors that the commission was using it as a recruiting ground. And me. You were a ghost story, a legend, the Nightfall survivor who disappeared." Reyes smiled grimly. "I didn't believe you existed until I saw that tattoo." The driver spoke for the first time. "Introductions later. Right now we need to get you out of the state. The commission is activating every asset they have. Local police, federal agencies, private contractors. You're the most wanted person in America right now, and nobody even knows your name. Where are we going? Safe House, Virginia. We'll regroup there and plan next steps. Elena looked out the window at the passing lights. There are no next steps. Not for me. I came here to do one thing. Kill everyone responsible. Yes. Rhea shook her head. That's not justice. That's suicide. I don't care about justice. I care about ending it. Then you'll die and they'll win. Reyes grabbed her arm. Listen to me. The Commission has been operating for 40 years. 12 of the most powerful men in American intelligence and defense. They've survived investigations, whistleblowers, journalists, everyone who's ever tried to expose them. You can't just shoot your way through. Watch me. No, I'm offering you something better. Reyes's eyes were intense. I'm offering you a chance to bring the whole thing down, not just kill a few people and die in the process. Actually destroy them, expose them. Make sure no one can ever rebuild what they created. Elena was silent. Your father died protecting children, Reyes continued. Is this what he'd want, for you to throw your life away on a suicide mission? You didn't know my father? No, but I knew my brother, and he would have wanted me to do this right, to honor the children who died by making sure it never happens again. The sedan rolled through the night, carrying them toward Virginia, toward safety, toward something that Elena had never allowed herself to consider. Hope. Tell me your plan, she finally said. Reyes smiled. First, we find out what the Commission is hiding, and I think I know where to start. She pulled out her phone, showing Elena a photograph. It was a woman, mid-20s, professional, standing at a Pentagon podium. Her name is Olivia Whitmore. She's the Deputy Secretary of Defense's daughter, and she has no idea that her father runs the Commission. Elena looked at the photo. She's our way in. The sedan disappeared into the darkness, and somewhere in Washington, in a secure facility beneath the Pentagon, a phone rang. Sir, we have a problem. The Nightfall survivor escaped. A pause. Then find her, and this time make sure she stays dead. The sedan rolled through the Virginia countryside as dawn broke over the horizon. Elena hadn't slept. She'd spent the entire 6-hour drive memorizing the photograph of Olivia Whitmore, studying every detail of the woman's face, her posture, her smile. You're going to burn a hole through that phone, Reyes said. Tell me everything you know about her. Reyes shifted in her seat. 28 years old, Georgetown Law top of her class. Joined the Pentagon's Public Affairs Office 3 years ago. She's clean Elena, genuinely clean. She has no idea what her father really does. How can you be sure? Because I've been watching her for 6 months. She asks questions, dangerous questions, about classified budget allocations, about programs that don't officially exist, about money that disappears into black holes and never comes back. Elena looked up. She's investigating her own father. She doesn't know it yet. But yes, she's pulling threads that lead directly to the Commission. Reyes leaned forward. 3 weeks ago, she requested access to records from something called Project Nightfall. The request was denied within 4 hours, faster than any bureaucratic denial I've ever seen. Elena's blood went cold. She knows about Nightfall. She knows the name. That's it. But she's smart enough to know that when someone buries something that fast, it means there's something worth finding. The driver, the older man who still hadn't introduced himself, spoke without turning around. We're 10 minutes out. I need to know if we're bringing her to the primary site or the backup. Primary, Reyes said. We need the full setup. Who is he? Elena asked. Someone who's been fighting the Commission longer than either of us has been alive. The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror. His eyes were hard but not unkind. Name's Thomas Mercer. I was CIA for 30 years, Deputy Director of Operations, until I started asking the wrong questions about the wrong programs. Mercer. Elena's voice sharpened. There was a Dr. Helen Mercer at Fort Bragg, psychological evaluator. She interviewed me during the assessment program. The sedan swerved slightly. Mercer's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. Helen is my daughter. She was Nightfall's chief psychologist. She selected which children would become assets and which would be eliminated. I know what she did. Mercer's voice cracked. I know what she became. But she's not the enemy anymore. She helped murder children. She helped murder children because they had a gun to her head. Because they told her that if she didn't cooperate, they would kill everyone she loved, including me. Mercer's jaw tightened. When the termination order came, she was the one who leaked the evacuation routes. She saved who she could, including you. Elena went still. What? The drainage tunnel at Facility Echo, the one your father used to get you out. Who do you think told him about it? Elena's mind raced. The night of the evacuation, her father had appeared at her quarters with a map showing passages she'd never seen before, routes that weren't on any official blueprint. She gave him the map, Elena whispered. She gave him everything she could. And when it wasn't enough, when they realized what she'd done, she ran, changed her name, changed her face, embedded herself in the system to monitor any survivors. She was monitoring me at Fort Bragg. She was protecting you, making sure no one connected your file to Nightfall. Mercer pulled the sedan onto a gravel road. Helen isn't your enemy, Elena. She's been waiting 15 years for someone like you to finish what she started. The sedan stopped in front of a farmhouse. It looked abandoned, weathered paint, sagging porch windows dark. This is the safe house, Elena asked. This is what it looks like from the outside. Reyes opened her door. Come on, we have a lot of work to do. Inside the farmhouse was transformed. The main floor was empty, but a hidden staircase led down to a basement filled with screens, servers, and communications equipment. A war room built beneath a decaying shell, and standing in the center waiting for them was Dr. Helen Mercer. She looked older than Elena remembered, thinner. Her eyes carried the weight of decades of guilt. You survived, Helen said. Her voice trembled. After all this time, you actually survived. Elena's hand moved toward her weapon. Give me one reason not to kill you right now. Because I can give you the commission. Every name, every operation, every crime they've committed for the last 40 years. Helen stepped forward. I've been collecting evidence since the day I escaped. Files, recordings, financial records. Everything you need to destroy them. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. I was part of the machine that murdered your friends. I selected children for termination based on psychological profiles. I told myself it was necessary that the ones who couldn't be controlled were too dangerous to live. Tears streamed down her face. I was wrong. I was a coward and a monster, and I've spent 15 years trying to atone for what I did. So no, Elena, you shouldn't trust me, but you should use me, because I know things about the commission that no one else alive knows. Elena's hand stayed on her weapon. What things? I know who gives the orders, the real power behind the 12 public members. Helen's voice dropped. His name is James Whitmore, Deputy Secretary of Defense, Olivia's father. And he's not just running the commission anymore. What do you mean? He's rebuilding Nightfall, a new program, new children. He calls it Project Phoenix. The room went silent. Elena felt something break inside her, the last fragment of hope that maybe somehow it was over. That the nightmare had died with the 36 children buried in unmarked graves. Where? She whispered. A facility in West Virginia. Facility Echo, the same location where the original terminations happened. He's using the same buildings, the same training protocols, the same methods. How many children? Helen's voice cracked. 30. Elena's legs gave out. She caught herself on a table, her breath coming in ragged gasps. 30 children, she repeated. 30 children going through what we went through. That's why we need you, Reyes said. Not just to expose the commission, To save those kids before Phoenix goes operational. When? 6 weeks, maybe less. Helen pulled up a file on one of the screens. Whitmore is planning to deploy the first Phoenix assets on a domestic operation assassination of Senator Mitchell, the chairman of the Intelligence Oversight Committee. Once that happens, Phoenix becomes permanent, untouchable. Elena straightened. Her eyes were dry now, cold. Then we have 6 weeks to bring it all down. We have a plan, Reyes said. But it requires getting close to Whitmore. Close enough to access his private files, his communications, his inner circle. Through Olivia. Through Olivia. She's our way in. Reyes pulled up the photograph again. She works at the Pentagon. She has access to areas we can't reach, and she's already asking questions that make her father nervous. You want me to use her? I want you to save her, because if Whitmore finds out what she's been investigating, he'll kill his own daughter to protect the commission. Elena studied the photograph. Olivia Whitmore looked nothing like a monster's daughter. She looked idealistic, hopeful, innocent. She looked like Elena had looked before everything was taken from her. How do I get close to her? Helen stepped forward. I've created an identity for you. Sarah Mitchell, civilian contractor, junior analyst in the Pentagon's Public Affairs Office. Your desk will be 20 feet from Olivia's. When do I start? 3 days. Enough time to learn the cover, memorize the building layout, and establish your legend. Elena nodded slowly. And while I'm inside, Thomas and I will be running support from here. Communications intelligence extraction if things go wrong. Helen's eyes met hers. You won't be alone, Elena. Not anymore. Elena looked around the room at Reyes, at Thomas, at Helen. People who had lost as much as she had. People who had been fighting the commission in their own ways for years. She wasn't used to allies, wasn't used to trust, but she was used to adapting. 3 days, she said. Let's get to work. The next 72 hours were brutal. Elena memorized floor plans, security protocols, personnel files. She learned Sarah Mitchell's history, where she went to school, where she lived, what she liked to eat for lunch. She practiced the cover until it felt like a second skin. Reyes drilled her on Pentagon procedures. Thomas coached her on surveillance detection. Helen walked her through Whitmore's psychology, his patterns, his paranoia, his weaknesses. He's brilliant, Helen explained. But he's also arrogant. He's been operating without consequences for so long that he's forgotten what it feels like to be afraid. That's his vulnerability. He doesn't believe anyone can touch him. Then we make him believe. On the second night, Elena sat alone in the basement, studying Phoenix's organizational chart. Names and faces of handlers, trainers, administrators, people who were doing to 30 new children what had been done to her. Reyes found her there at midnight. You should sleep. I'll sleep when this is over. Reyes sat beside her. Can I ask you something? You can ask. What do you remember from Nightfall? From before? Elena was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was distant. I remember being cold. Always cold. The facility was underground and they kept the temperature low to build our tolerance. I remember the training 16 hours a day of combat infiltration assassination techniques. I remember the tests. Tests. Psychological conditioning. They would put us in scenarios designed to break us, lock us in rooms for days without food, force us to fight each other for resources, make us watch other children fail and see what happened to them. Her hands clenched. I remember my father. He was the chief instructor, but he wasn't like the others. He protected us when he could, taught us things they didn't want us to know, how to think for ourselves, how to question orders, how to survive. He sounds like a good man. He was the only good thing in that place, and they killed him for it. Reyes reached out and touched her arm. We're going to make this right, Elena. I promise. Elena looked at her. Don't make promises you can't keep. I don't. The morning of the third day, Elena stood in front of a mirror, wearing business casual clothes and a visitor's badge that said, Sarah Mitchell Contractor. She looked like a different person. Softer, younger, harmless, the perfect disguise. "Remember," Thomas said through her earpiece, "Olivia usually takes lunch at 12:30, the cafeteria on the 3rd floor. Make contact there, but keep it natural. Don't push too hard." "Understood." "And Elena." Thomas's voice softened. "Be careful. Whitmore has eyes everywhere in that building." Elena walked out of the safe house and into the morning light. The Pentagon was waiting. Getting through security was easier than Elena expected. Sarah Mitchell's credentials were impeccable. Helen's work was flawless. The guards barely glanced at her as she passed through the checkpoints. Inside the building was a maze of corridors and offices, thousands of people moving with purpose. Elena navigated toward the public affairs wing, her eyes cataloging everything: camera positions, guard rotations, emergency exits. Her desk was exactly where Helen had promised. 20 feet from Olivia Whitmore's office. Elena sat down, logged into her computer with her cover credentials, and began the performance. She was Sarah Mitchell now, a junior analyst who asked questions but not too many, who smiled but not too often, who did her job competently but never drew attention. At 12:27, Olivia left her office. Elena waited 30 seconds, then followed. The cafeteria was crowded. Elena got her food, a salad keeping with Sarah's documented preferences, and scanned the room for Olivia. There, corner table, alone, reading something on her tablet with a frown. Elena approached. "Is this seat taken?" Olivia looked up. Her eyes were sharp, assessing. "Go ahead." Elena sat. They ate in silence for a few minutes, two strangers sharing a table in a busy cafeteria. Then Olivia spoke. "You're new." "Started today. Sarah Mitchell Contractor." "Olivia Whitmore Public Affairs." She didn't offer her hand. "Which firm?" "Nexus Analytics. Data Systems Support." "Nexus." Olivia's frown deepened. "I don't recognize that name." "We're small. Mostly background stuff. You probably wouldn't." Olivia studied her for a long moment. Elena felt the weight of her attention, intelligent, probing, suspicious. Then Olivia smiled. "Well, welcome to the Pentagon, Sarah. Try not to let it crush your soul." "That bad?" "Let's just say the bureaucracy here could survive a nuclear apocalypse. Cockroaches and requisition forms, that's what would be left." Elena laughed. It surprised her. She hadn't laughed in years. They talked for the rest of lunch. Nothing important. Work complaints, coffee preferences, the particular hell of Pentagon parking, small talk that meant nothing on the surface. But beneath it, Elena was cataloging Olivia's speech patterns, her concerns, her interests. The way her eyes darkened when she mentioned certain classified projects. When lunch ended, Olivia stood. "Same time tomorrow, Sarah." "I'd like that." Elena watched her walk away. Then she touched her earpiece. Contact made. "Good work," Thomas replied. "Now the real operation begins." Over the next 2 weeks, Elena and Olivia became friends. It happened gradually, naturally. Shared lunches became shared coffee breaks. Coffee breaks became after-work drinks at a bar near the metro station. Olivia was funny, smart, and deeply frustrated with a system she believed in but couldn't trust. "I became a lawyer because I wanted to make a difference," Olivia said one evening, 3 glasses of wine in. "I joined public affairs because I thought transparency was the answer. Sunlight is disinfectant, you know. And now I realize there are rooms in this building that sunlight will never reach. Programs that don't exist on any budget. People who answer to no one." She shook her head. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic." Elena leaned forward. "What kind of programs?" Olivia hesitated, then quietly. "Have you ever heard of something called Nightfall?" Elena's heart stopped. "No, what is it?" "I don't know. That's the problem. I found a reference to it in an old budget document, A footnote in a footnote, basically. But when I tried to request the files, I got shut down faster than I've ever seen. Like someone was watching for that exact query. Did you tell anyone? Who would I tell? My father? Olivia laughed bitterly. He's Deputy Secretary of Defense. He's part of whatever system is hiding these things. You think your father knows? I think my father knows a lot of things he doesn't tell me. Olivia finished her wine. I think there's a version of him that I've never met. A version that would scare me if I looked too closely. Elena felt something she hadn't expected. Sympathy. Olivia wasn't just an asset to be exploited. She was a daughter trying to understand a father she loved but couldn't trust, just like Elena had been once. What would you do, Elena asked carefully, if you found out he was involved in something terrible? Olivia was quiet for a long moment. I'd expose him, she finally said. I'd burn it all down if I had to, because the truth matters more than loyalty, more than love. She met Elena's eyes. Does that make me a bad daughter? No, Elena said softly. It makes you brave. That night, Elena reported back to the safe house. She's ready, she told the team. She wants the truth. She just needs someone to show her where to look. Then we show her, Reyes said, carefully, one piece at a time. How much do we reveal? Helen stepped forward. Start with the money. The budget anomalies she's already found. Guide her toward the patterns, funds flowing to facilities that don't exist, contractors that are shell companies, projects that have no paper trail. And when she asks what they're hiding, then we tell her about Phoenix. Helen's voice hardened. We tell her that her father is building an army of child soldiers, and we let her decide what to do with that information. Elena nodded slowly. She'll want proof. We have proof. Documents, recordings, photographs. Everything I've gathered for 15 years. Helen pulled up a file on the main screen. This is the insurance policy. When Olivia sees this, she'll have no choice but to act. Elena studied the file. Financial records, personnel files, medical reports from Facility Echo, photographs of children in training, young faces with old eyes just like hers had been, and one photograph that made her blood run cold. A girl, 10 years old, dark hair, hazel eyes, the same eyes that stared back at Elena from every mirror. Who is this? She whispered. Helen's voice caught. Her name is Maya. She's one of the Phoenix children. She's your sister, Elena. The room spun. I don't have a sister. You do. You did. She was born after your father's death. Your mother was pregnant when she went into hiding. The commission found them 6 years ago. They killed your mother and took Maya. Elena's hands shook. Why didn't you tell me? Because I only confirmed it 3 days ago. I've been trying to identify the Phoenix children, and when I ran Maya's DNA through the database, Helen's voice broke. She's Daniel Vance's daughter, your half-sister, and she's in that facility right now being turned into what they tried to make you. Elena grabbed the edge of the table. Her vision blurred. Her breath came in ragged gasps. A sister. She had a sister. And that sister was being destroyed piece by piece in the same hell Elena had escaped 15 years ago. When do we move? Elena's voice was steady now. Cold. We need more time to... When do we move? Reyes stepped forward. 2 weeks. We need Olivia to get us access codes, building layouts, guard schedules. Without that information, any extraction attempt is suicide. 2 weeks. Elena turned to face the team. In 2 weeks we hit Facility Echo. We get those children out. And we end Phoenix permanently. And Whitmore? Thomas asked. Elena's eyes were fire and ice. Whitmore dies last, after he watches everything he built collapse around him, after he knows that his own daughter helped bring him down. She looked at Maya's photograph one more time. Hold on, she whispered. I'm coming. 3 days later, Elena sat across from Olivia in a secure conference room at the Pentagon. She'd requested the meeting under cover of discussing a data systems upgrade. "Close the door," Elena said. Olivia frowned. "Sarah, what's going on?" "My name isn't Sarah, and I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you." Elena pulled out a folder and placed it on the table. "Your father runs a secret organization called the Commission. For 40 years, they've operated outside any oversight assassinations, illegal weapons programs, human experimentation. Everything hidden behind layers of classification and shell companies." Olivia's face went pale. "That's insane." "Is it?" Elena opened the folder. "Look at these budget documents. Look at the money flowing to facilities that don't appear on any map. Look at the contractors who don't exist, the projects with no congressional approval, the children. Children!" Elena slid a photograph across the table. Maya's face stared up at them. "Her name is Maya. She's 10 years old. Right now she's being held in a facility in West Virginia, being trained as a Black Ops asset. There are 29 other children with her. Your father calls it Project Phoenix." Olivia's hands trembled as she picked up the photograph. "This is impossible. My father would never—" "Your father ordered the execution of 37 children 15 years ago. I know because I was one of them." Elena pulled up her sleeve, revealing the tattoo. "This mark was given to every child in the original program. 36 of them are dead. I survived." Olivia stared at the tattoo, then at Elena, then at the folder full of evidence. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need your help to stop him. I need access code schedules building layouts for Facility Echo, and I need you to make a choice." "What choice?" Elena leaned forward. "Whether you're going to help me save those children, or whether you're going to protect your father and let them die." Olivia was silent for a long, agonizing moment. Then she picked up the folder and began to read. Olivia read for 27 minutes without speaking. Elena watched her face transform disbelief, becoming confusion, confusion, becoming horror, horror, becoming something harder. Something that looked like Elena's own reflection. When Olivia finally looked up, her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. "How long have you known?" "About Phoenix 3 weeks. About your father's involvement 15 years. 15 years. Olivia laughed a broken sound. "I was 13 when this started. I was learning to drive while my father was ordering children executed." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. You're not the one who should apologize." Olivia closed the folder. "What do you need from me?" "Access codes to Facility Echo, guard rotation schedules, building layouts, anything that can help us get those children out." "And my father?" Elena hesitated. "That depends on you." "No, it doesn't." Olivia's jaw tightened. "He made his choices. Now I'm making mine." She pulled out her phone and began typing. "What are you doing?" "Getting you what you need. My father keeps his most sensitive files on a private server at our family home in Georgetown. I have access. Olivia, if he finds out. Then he finds out." She looked up. "Those children in that photograph. How old is the youngest?" 8. Olivia's hand trembled, but she kept typing. 8 years old, being trained to kill, being turned into weapons." Her voice cracked. "I have a niece who's 8. She still believes in Santa Claus." "This is dangerous. Your father has resources." "My father is a monster." Olivia's eyes blazed. "I've spent my entire life defending him, making excuses, telling myself that whatever he did for the country. But this is unforgivable." She finished typing and handed Elena her phone. "Server access codes, updated as of this morning. The files you need are in a folder called Prometheus. He thinks he's clever with mythology." Elena stared at the screen. "You're sure about this?" "I'm sure about one thing. Those children deserve a chance to grow up, to have lives, to be something other than what my father wants to make them." Olivia stood. Get them out, Elena. Whatever it takes. She walked to the door, then stopped. And when you're done, when you've saved those kids and exposed everything, she turned back. Make him pay. She left without waiting for a response. Elena sat alone in the conference room, holding the phone that contained everything she needed to bring down the commission. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, from something she hadn't felt in 15 years. Hope. That night the team gathered in the safe house basement. Thomas had the building layouts spread across the main table. Reyes was checking weapons. Helen was running final analysis on the server files Olivia had provided. It's all here, Helen said, her voice tight with emotion. Guard schedules, security protocols, emergency procedures. Even the children's locations, they're housed in the East Wing Sector 7. How many guards? Elena asked. 42 on active rotation, armed, plus another 15 administrative staff who aren't combat trained but could raise alarms. Extraction windows. Shift change at 0300. 6-minute gap when the overnight team is arriving and the evening team is leaving. That's our best shot. Elena studied the layouts. Entry points. Thomas stepped forward. 3 options. Main gate, heavily fortified suicide. Service entrance, moderate security, but it requires keycard access we don't have. And this. He pointed to a section of the blueprint. Drainage system. Same one your father used to get you out 15 years ago. Elena's throat tightened. It's still accessible. According to these files, yes. They never sealed it, probably assumed no one alive knew it existed. That's our way in. It's a 300-meter crawl through darkness, Thomas warned. And the exit point is inside the facility's maintenance area. If there's a guard posted, there won't be. Elena's voice was certain. My father designed that route specifically because maintenance is unmanned during shift changes. The pattern hasn't changed. Reyes looked up from her weapons check. How can you be sure? Because I memorized every escape route he taught me. Every timing. Every vulnerability. Elena's eyes were distant. He knew this day might come. He prepared me for it without ever saying the words. The room was silent. Then Thomas nodded. Okay, we go in through drainage. Elena takes point, she knows the layout from memory. Reyes and I provide cover. Helen stays here running communications. What about extraction? Reyes asked. We can't walk 30 children out through a drainage tunnel. We won't have to. Thomas pulled up another image. Half a mile from the facility there's an old logging road. I've arranged for 3 vehicles, school buses modified for off-road terrain. We get the children to the East Wing exit, move them through the forest to the logging road, and we're gone before anyone knows what happened. And if something goes wrong, then we improvise. Thomas met Elena's eyes. That's what your father taught, isn't it? Adapt and overcome. Elena nodded slowly. When do we move? 48 hours. Tomorrow night we do final reconnaissance. The night after we execute. That's not enough time. It's all we have. Helen's voice was urgent. I intercepted a communication from Whitmore's office. He's moving the Phoenix deployment timeline up. Senator Mitchell's assassination is scheduled for next week. Next week? You said we had 6 weeks. Something spooked him. Maybe he suspects there's a leak. Maybe he's just paranoid. Helen shook her head. Either way, if we don't move in 48 hours, those children will be deployed. And once that happens, there's no going back. Elena looked around the room. Thomas steady and experienced. Reyes fierce and determined. Helen desperate for redemption. And herself. The survivor. The ghost. The last sword of nightfall. 48 hours, she said. We'll be ready. The next morning, Elena's phone buzzed with an unknown number. She stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Hello. Elena Vance. The voice was male, calm, cultured, familiar in a way that made her skin crawl. Or should I call you Sarah Mitchell? Or perhaps Asset 23. Her blood went cold. Who is this? You know who this is? We've never met in person, but I've been watching you for 15 years. waiting for you to surface. Whitmore. Deputy Secretary Whitmore, if we're being formal. But yes. A soft laugh. I have to say I'm impressed. Surviving the termination. Building a new identity. Infiltrating my daughter's confidence. You're everything Daniel promised you would be. Elena's grip tightened on the phone. What do you want? A conversation, face to face. Just the two of us. So you can kill me. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. I have assets in every major city. I knew your location within 6 hours of General Drake's unfortunate demise. Whitmore's voice hardened. No, Elena. I want to talk, because I think we can help each other. I don't help monsters. Monsters! Another laugh. I'm a patriot. Everything I've done. Everything has been to protect this nation from threats that civilians can't imagine. The programs you call monstrous have saved millions of lives. By murdering children. By creating assets capable of operations no conventional soldier could survive. Your father understood that. He was the best instructor we ever had because he believed in the mission. My father died trying to stop you. Your father died because he lost faith, because he allowed sentiment to override duty. Whitmore's voice softened. But you, Elena, you're different. You completed your training. You survived conditions that broke every other asset. You have capabilities that can't be replicated. Get to the point. The point is that I'm offering you a choice. Join Phoenix. Lead the program your father helped create. Use your skills to protect your country instead of destroying the only people who understand what you truly are. Elena laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. You think I'd work for you after everything you've done? I think you're a survivor, and survivors understand pragmatism. Whitmore's tone shifted. But perhaps you need motivation. Let me tell you something about the girl in Sector 7, the one named Maya. Elena's heart stopped. She's remarkable, Elena. Top of her cohort in every metric. Combat skills, psychological resilience, tactical thinking. She reminds me of you, actually. The same fire, the same potential. Don't you dare. She doesn't know about you, of course. Doesn't know she has a sister. But I could arrange a meeting. I could let you see her, talk to her, explain who you really are. In exchange for what? In exchange for your cooperation. Lead Phoenix. Help me complete what your father started. And in return, Maya lives. She thrives. She becomes everything she's capable of being. Elena was silent for a long moment. Then, you're afraid. Excuse me. You're afraid of me. That's why you're calling. That's why you're offering deals instead of sending kill teams. Elena's voice was steady now. You know what I'm capable of. You know what happens when I get inside that facility. And you're trying to stop it the only way you think will work, by dangling my sister in front of me like bait. Whitmore's composure cracked slightly. I'm offering you a future, Elena. A purpose. I already have a purpose. Elena's eyes were ice. 2 nights from now, I'm going to walk into Facility Echo. I'm going to get every single child out of that hellhole. And then, I'm going to watch everything you built burn to the ground. If you attack that facility, Maya dies first. That's a promise. No, it's not. Elena smiled grimly. Because you won't be there to give that order. You'll be too busy dealing with your daughter. Silence. What does Olivia have to do with this? Ask her yourself. She's at your Georgetown house right now, downloading everything from your Prometheus server. Every file, every operation, every crime you've committed for 40 years. You're lying. Check your security feeds, Deputy Secretary. Your perfect daughter just became your worst nightmare. Elena hung up. Then she turned to the team who had heard every word. Timetables moved up. We go tonight. The drive to West Virginia took 4 hours. Elena sat in the passenger seat, checking her weapons, reviewing the building layouts one final time. Reyes drove, Thomas rode in the back with the additional equipment, night vision gear, breaching charges, medical supplies for the children. Olivia's confirmed. Helen's voice crackled through the earpiece. She got everything off the server before Whitmore's security team arrived. She's in FBI protective custody, now cooperating fully. Where's Whitmore? Unknown. He left his office 90 minutes ago and hasn't surfaced. His private plane filed a flight plan for West Virginia. Elena's jaw tightened. He's heading for the facility. That's my assumption. You'll have company. Good. I wanted to look him in the eye. They reached the staging area at midnight, an abandoned ranger station 3 miles from Facility Echo. The school buses were already there, engines cold, drivers waiting. Elena gathered the team. We stick to the plan. In through drainage, secure Sector 7, extract the children through the East Wing exit. Anyone who gets in our way goes down. And Whitmore? Reyes asked. Whitmore is mine. They moved through the forest like shadows, their night vision painting the world in shades of green. Elena led her feet, finding paths she'd memorized 15 years ago, paths her father had walked with her in the darkness, teaching her how to move without sound, how to become invisible. The drainage entrance was exactly where she remembered, a rusted grate hidden beneath overgrown brush, barely large enough for an adult to squeeze through. Elena knelt and tested the metal. Old, corroded, but still solid. We're at entry point, she whispered into her earpiece. Copy. Security feeds show normal activity. Shift change in 47 minutes. Moving in. Elena went first. The tunnel was darker than memory, tighter than she expected. Water dripped from somewhere above, and the smell of rust and decay filled her nostrils. But her body remembered, knew exactly when to turn, when to duck, when to crawl. Behind her, she heard Reyes breathing steadily. Thomas brought up the rear, his larger frame scraping against the tunnel walls. 300 meters of darkness. Then light. The maintenance area was empty, just as Elena had predicted. She emerged, first weapon raised, scanning for threats. Clear. She signaled the others forward. We're inside, she reported. Moving to Sector 7. Copy. No alarms triggered. You have 41 minutes until shift change. They moved through the facility's lower levels, avoiding the main corridors where guards patrolled. Elena navigated from memory and instinct, her body remembering turns her conscious mind had forgotten. 20 minutes later, they reached Sector 7. The door was reinforced steel with an electronic lock. Elena pulled out the access codes Olivia had provided and entered them carefully. Red light. Codes don't work, she hissed. They've been changed. Can we breach? Reyes asked. Not without triggering every alarm in the building. Thomas stepped forward. Let me try something. He pulled out a small device, a portable code breaker he'd acquired during his CIA years. Connected it to the lock panel. Waited. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Come on, Elena breathed. Green light. The door slid open. Inside, 30 children slept in rows of narrow beds. Their quarters were sparse concrete walls, fluorescent lights, military-issue blankets. No decorations, no personal effects, no evidence that these were children at all. Elena's heart shattered. This was her childhood. These were her memories. The cold, the emptiness, the systematic erasure of everything that made a person human. Jesus, Reyes whispered. They're so young. Start waking them, Elena ordered. Quietly, don't frighten them. They moved through the rows, gently rousing the children. Most woke instantly, their training overriding natural grogginess. They sat up alert, silent, waiting for instructions. Elena found Maya in the third row. She was smaller than the photograph suggested, thin with dark hair that fell across her face. When Elena touched her shoulder, her eyes snapped open, hazel eyes identical to Elena's own. Who are you? Maya's voice was controlled. No fear, just assessment. I'm here to get you out. That's not an answer. Elena smiled despite herself. No, it's not. My name is Elena. I'm your sister. Maya's composure cracked slightly. I don't have a sister. You do. You have me. Elena extended her hand. And I'm going to keep you safe. I promise. For a long moment, Maya studied her face. Then she took Elena's hand and stood. I believe you. All children accounted for, Reyes reported. 30 total. We need to move. Elena led the group toward the East Wing exit, Maya's hand still clasped in hers. The children moved in perfect formation, silent, disciplined, obedient. The sight made Elena's stomach turn. They reached the exit corridor. One more door, and they'd be in the forest. 300 meters to the logging road. Freedom. Elena keyed in the access code. The door opened, and James Whitmore stood on the other side, flanked by 12 armed guards. Elena Vance. Whitmore smiled. I was wondering when you'd arrive. Elena pushed Maya behind her. Get the children back, now. That won't be necessary. Whitmore raised his hand, and his guards lowered their weapons. I'm not here to stop you. What? I'm here to make a deal. Whitmore stepped forward, hands open. You want these children safe? Take them. Walk out of here right now, and I won't stop you. Why? Because you were right. I am afraid of you. Whitmore's smile faded. You've exposed me. My daughter has betrayed me. The FBI is preparing warrants as we speak. In 24 hours, I'll be the most wanted man in America. So you're just letting us go? I'm buying time. Whitmore's eyes hardened. Take the children. Take your people. Leave this facility. And give me a head start. Elena laughed. You think I'm going to let you disappear? I think you have a choice. You can try to capture me now, in which case my guards will fight, and some of these children will die. Or you can let me walk away and everyone survives. Elena looked at the children behind her, 30 young faces watching her with expressions that ranged from confusion to fear to desperate hope. Then she looked at Maya, her sister, the family she never knew she had. You have 2 minutes, Elena said through gritted teeth. Then I'm coming for you. Whitmore nodded. That's all I need. He turned and walked into the darkness. His guards followed. Elena stood motionless, every instinct screaming at her to pursue. But she didn't move, not until the children were safe. East Wing is clear, she reported. Moving to extraction. Copy. Vehicles are standing by. They moved through the forest in a long column, 30 children surrounded by 3 operators who had just defied the most powerful Black Ops organization in America. The night was cold, but Elena barely felt it. Her mind was already racing ahead, planning the next move. Whitmore had escaped. But not for long. The logging road appeared through the trees. 3 school buses waited, engines running, drivers ready. Load them up, Elena ordered. Fast. The children climbed aboard in orderly rows, training that served them well, even in rescue. Within 4 minutes, all 30 were seated. Elena stood at the bus door watching Maya through the window. Her sister pressed her hand against the glass, and Elena pressed her own hand against it from outside. I'll find you, she mouthed. I promise. Maya nodded. The buses pulled away. Elena watched until their taillights disappeared into the darkness. Then she turned to Reyes and Thomas. Whitmore has a helicopter landing pad half a mile east. That's where he's heading. We're going after him. I'm going after him. Elena checked her weapon. You two get to the vehicles. Meet me at the extraction point in 1 hour. Elena. This is Personal Reyes. This is the man who killed my father, who murdered 36 children, who would have murdered 30 more. Her voice was cold. He doesn't get to run. Reyes hesitated. Then she nodded. 1 hour. Don't be late. Elena ran. Through the forest over terrain she'd memorized as a child, toward the sound of helicopter rotors spinning up in the distance. Her legs burned, her lungs screamed, but she didn't slow down. She reached the landing pad just as Whitmore was climbing into the cockpit. Whitmore. He turned. Their eyes met. And then the world exploded. The helicopter erupted in flames, a ball of fire that threw Elena backward, sent shrapnel slicing through the air. She hit the ground hard, ears ringing, vision blurred. When she looked up, she saw a figure walking toward her through the smoke. Not Whitmore. A woman. Tall. Familiar. Dr. Helen Mercer. She held a detonator in her hand. "I'm sorry," Helen said, "but he couldn't be allowed to talk. There are secrets even you don't know, Elena. Secrets that would destroy everything." Elena struggled to her feet. "What are you doing?" "Protecting the mission. The real mission." Helen's eyes were cold. "Did you think Nightfall ended with the termination order? Did you think Phoenix was Whitmore's only project?" "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about Genesis, the next evolution." Helen stepped closer. "Whitmore was a puppet, Elena. A front man. The real power has always been somewhere else. Someone else." "Who?" Helen smiled. "Me." Elena's world tilted sideways. Helen Mercer. The woman who had given her father the escape routes. The woman who had spent 15 years supposedly gathering evidence against the commission. The woman Thomas called his daughter. The real power behind everything. "You're lying." Elena said, her voice hoarse from smoke and shock. "I'm many things, Elena. A liar isn't one of them." Helen stepped closer, the burning helicopter casting flickering shadows across her face. "Everything I told you was true. I did help children escape. I did leak the termination order. I did spend 15 years gathering evidence." "Then why?" "Because Nightfall was never supposed to end. Whitmore thought he was in charge, but he was always just a useful face. Someone to take the fall when things went wrong." Helen's eyes gleamed. "I created Nightfall. I designed the training protocols. I selected every child, including you." Elena's hand moved toward her weapon. "Don't." Helen's voice was sharp. "I have 12 operatives in the forest around us. All former Nightfall assets, children. I save children who understand that what we do is necessary. Necessary, you call murdering children necessary. I call evolution necessary." Helen's voice softened. "The world is changing, Elena. Threats are emerging that conventional forces can't handle. Terrorism, cyber warfare, biological weapons. We need operatives who can think faster, move faster, kill faster than any normal human. So you turn children into weapons. I turn potential into power. The children who couldn't adapt, yes, they were terminated. But the ones who survived, they're extraordinary. You're extraordinary." Helen extended her hand. "Join me, Elena. Lead Genesis. Become what you were always meant to be." Elena stared at the outstretched hand. For one terrible moment, she considered it. All her life she'd been running, hiding, fighting to survive in a world that had tried to erase her. Helen was offering her a place, a purpose, power. Then she thought of Maya, of the 30 children on those buses, of the 36 who had died screaming in Facility Echo. "No!" Elena drew her weapon and fired in one motion. The bullet caught Helen in the shoulder, spinning her backward. But before Elena could fire again, something slammed into her from behind a body tackle that drove her into the ground and sent her gun flying. She rolled, twisted, came up fighting. Her attacker was fast-trained, relentless, a young man in his 20s, with dead eyes and movements that mirrored her own. Nightfall, one of the survivors Helen had mentioned. Elena blocked his strike, countered with an elbow to the throat, swept his legs. He went down, but recovered instantly, coming at her with a knife that appeared from nowhere. She caught his wrist, redirected the blade, used his momentum to throw him into a tree. He hit hard and didn't get up. 3 more emerged from the forest. Elena fought. It was like fighting shadows of herself, opponents who knew every technique she knew, who anticipated every move before she made it. She took hits, gave hits, tasted blood in her mouth. One attacker fell with a broken neck. Another collapsed when Elena drove her knee into his solar plexus. The third caught her from behind, arms wrapping around her throat in a chokehold. Her vision darkened. Then a gunshot. The pressure released. Elena spun to see Reyes standing at the tree-line weapon, raised the third attacker crumpling at her feet. "Thought you might need backup," Reyes said. "I told you to go." "Yeah, well, I'm bad at following orders." Reyes scanned the clearing. "Where's Whitmore?" Elena pointed at the burning helicopter. "Dead. But we have a bigger problem. The woman who just limped into the forest, bleeding. Helen Mercer. She's been running everything. Nightfall Phoenix, something called Genesis. Whitmore was just a front." Reyes's face went pale. "Helen Thomas's daughter. She played all of us." Elena retrieved her weapon. "We need to find her before she disappears." "What about the extraction, the children?" "Thomas is with them. They'll be safe." Elena's eyes tracked the blood trail leading into the darkness. "Helen won't be." They moved through the forest following the crimson drops that marked Helen's path. The trail was erratic. She was wounded, disoriented, but still dangerous. "She said she has 12 operatives," Elena warned. "We've taken down 4. That leaves 8. Great odds. I've had worse." The blood trail ended at a concrete structure half buried in the hillside, an emergency bunker camouflaged to look like part of the terrain. The door stood open. "Trap?" Reyes asked. "Definitely." "Going in anyway?" "Definitely." They entered back-to-back weapons, sweeping the darkness. Emergency lighting cast everything in red, fitting Elena thought for what was about to happen. The bunker descended. Stairs, then a corridor, then a heavy blast door that had been left ajar. Beyond it, a command center. Screens covered every wall, displaying feeds from dozens of locations, military bases, government buildings, private residences. Maps marked with colored pins, files stacked on tables. A communications array that could reach anywhere in the world. And Helen slumped in a chair at the center console, one hand pressed against her bleeding shoulder. "Impressive, isn't it?" Helen's voice was weak but steady. 40 years of work. Every operation, every asset, every piece of leverage the Commission ever gathered. And you destroyed it in one night. "Where are the others?" Elena demanded. "Your operatives." "Gone. I sent them away when I realized you wouldn't be stopped." Helen laughed bitterly. "You're too much like your father, Elena. He never knew when to quit either." "My father was a hero." "Your father was a fool." Helen's eyes flashed. "He could have been the greatest operative in American history. Instead, he threw it all away for sentiment, for you." "He threw it away because what you were doing was wrong." "Wrong?" Helen struggled to her feet, swaying. "I was building something that would protect this nation for generations. A force that couldn't be corrupted, couldn't be compromised, couldn't be defeated. And Daniel Vance destroyed it because he couldn't accept that sacrifice is necessary." "Sacrifice?" Elena's voice cracked. "You murdered children, Helen. Children who trusted you. Children who had no choice." "Everyone has a choice. The ones who died simply chose wrong." Helen moved toward the console. "But it doesn't matter now. Genesis will continue without me. The protocols are already in place. The next generation is already being selected. I'll stop them." "You can't. You don't even know where to look." Helen smiled. "Genesis isn't a facility, Elena. It's an idea. A method. It exists in 100 different programs across a dozen countries. Even if you exposed everything here, you'd only scratch the surface. Then I'll scratch deeper. Or..." Helen's hand hovered over the console. "You could let it end. Let me trigger the purge protocol. Destroy every file, every record, every trace of what we built. Walk away knowing that at least this chapter is closed. And you, I'm dying anyway. Your bullet nicked an artery. I have maybe 20 minutes before I bleed out." Helen's voice softened. "Let me die knowing that my work meant something. That the children I trained, the ones who survived, will have a chance to disappear, to be free. Elena stared at her. You expect me to believe you care about them? I care about excellence, about potential, about creating something that transcends ordinary human limitations. Helen's eyes met hers. I cared about you, Elena. From the moment I saw your scores, your psychological profile, your capacity for growth. You were the best we ever produced. I'm not your creation. Aren't you? Helen smiled sadly. Everything you are, your skills, your resilience, your ability to survive, it all came from Nightfall, from me. You can hate what I did, but you can't deny that it made you. Elena was silent. Because Helen was right. Everything she was, everything she could do, it had been forged in the nightmare of Facility Echo, shaped by training that had killed 36 others, refined by survival. She was Nightfall's greatest success, and its greatest failure. The children on those buses, Elena said quietly. Maya, the others. They'll never be free of what you did to them. They'll carry it for the rest of their lives. Then help them carry it. Helen's voice was urgent. Lead them. Teach them. Show them that survival isn't the end, it's the beginning. Like my father tried to show me? Yes, exactly like that. Helen's hand trembled over the console. Let me do this one thing, Elena. Let me destroy the records and give those children a clean start. They deserve that much. Elena looked at Reyes. Reyes shook her head slightly. Don't trust her. But Elena wasn't thinking about trust. She was thinking about 30 children who had just been rescued from hell. Children whose faces would haunt her forever if their identities were exposed, if their pasts followed them into whatever future they managed to build. Do it, Elena said. Helen's hand moved. The screens went dark one by one. Files deleted. Servers wiped. 40 years of evidence erasing itself in seconds. When it was done, Helen slumped back in her chair. It's finished, she whispered. Genesis will continue, but without the foundation, without the records, it will take them years to rebuild. Good. Elena, Helen's voice was fading. There's something else, something you need to know. What? Your mother. She didn't die when the commission found her. Helen's eyes were closing. She's alive. They've been keeping her in a facility in Montana. Leverage in case you ever surfaced. Elena's heart stopped. What? Margaret Vance. That's her name. The woman who gave birth to you and Maya. She's been their prisoner for 20 years. You're lying. I'm dying. Why would I lie? Helen's hand reached out, grasping Elena's wrist with surprising strength. Save her, save your mother, and then burn Genesis to the ground. Her grip loosened, her eyes closed. Helen Mercer died in the red emergency lighting, surrounded by the ruins of everything she'd built. Elena stood motionless. Her mother was alive. For 20 years, she'd believed both her parents were dead. Her father killed in the termination order. Her mother, she'd been told her mother died in childbirth. Another lie, another piece of her history stolen by people who saw her as nothing but an asset. Elena, Reyes's voice was gentle. We need to go. This place could have backup security automated alerts. Montana, Elena said. We're going to Montana. Elena, we just extracted 30 children. We have Helen's body. We have evidence to expose. My mother is alive. Elena turned her eyes blazing. She's been a prisoner for 20 years. While I was training to be a weapon, while I was hiding, while I was planning revenge, she was locked in a cell somewhere alone. We don't even know if Helen was telling the truth. Then we find out. Elena strode toward the exit. Contact Thomas. Tell him to get the children to the FBI facility. Olivia's there, she'll protect them. Then meet me at the staging area. And then, Elena stopped at the door. Then we go get my mother. The drive to the staging area took 40 minutes. Elena spent every second on her phone accessing Helen's network through back doors the dead woman had never suspected she'd discovered. The Virginia safe house had backup servers that Helen had claimed were destroyed, but weren't. She found the Montana facility in the third database she searched. Project Lazarus, a black site built into an abandoned mine complex near Glacier National Park. Officially decommissioned in 2003. Unofficially a long-term detention facility for high-value assets. Margaret Vance was listed as detainee 7. Acquisition date June 14, 2004. The year Elena was 4 years old. The year she'd been told her mother died. "I found it," Elena said as Reyes pulled into the staging area. "The facility, it's real." "How many guards?" "Minimal, 12 on rotation. The site was designed for long-term containment, not active operations. So we can hit it. We can try." Elena looked up from her phone. "But I'm not asking you to come." "Too bad. I'm coming." Reyes. "My brother died trying to help children escape from these people. You think I'm going to walk away now when we're this close to bringing down the whole thing?" Reyes shook her head. "We do this together. All the way." Elena studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Thank you." Thomas was waiting at the staging area, his face gray with exhaustion and grief. "Helen," he said. "Is it true? Was she really?" "Yes." Elena's voice was flat. "She was running everything. Nightfall Phoenix Genesis. All of it." Thomas closed his eyes. "I should have known. I should have seen it. She fooled all of us." "She was my daughter." Thomas's voice cracked. "I raised her. I taught her. I thought I knew who she was. The person you raised died a long time ago. The woman I met tonight was something else." Elena touched his arm. "But before she died, she told me something. My mother is alive. She's being held in a facility in Montana." Thomas looked up. Margaret is alive." "You knew her." "I knew Daniel. We served together before he joined Nightfall." Thomas's eyes were wet. "He loved her. Talked about her constantly. When they told us she died in childbirth, he was devastated. She didn't die. She's been a prisoner for 20 years. Then we get her out." Thomas straightened, grief hardening into determination. "Helen is gone. Whatever she built is dying. But if Margaret is alive, if we can save her, then at least something good comes from this nightmare. The children, safe. Olivia's people have them. The FBI is processing Helen's evidence, what's left of it after the purge." Thomas moved toward the vehicles. "I can have us in Montana by morning." "No." Elena stopped him. "You're exhausted. You just learned your daughter was a monster. Stay here. Coordinate with Olivia. Make sure the children are protected." "Elena, I need someone I trust on this end. Someone who knows the system, knows how to navigate the fallout." She met his eyes. "Can you do that?" Thomas hesitated. Then he nodded. "I can do that. But Elena, when you find Margaret, tell her something for me." "What?" "Tell her Daniel never stopped loving her. Tell her he talked about her every day, right up until the end." Thomas's voice broke. "Tell her she wasn't forgotten." "I will." Elena and Reyes drove through the night. The landscape changed as they moved North Virginia hills, giving way to Pennsylvania farmland, then the industrial sprawl of Ohio, then the flatlands of Indiana and Illinois. They stopped only for gas and coffee, taking turns at the wheel, while the others slept fitfully. Elena dreamed of her father. He was standing in the drainage tunnel the night of the evacuation, holding her hand as they crawled through the darkness. "Remember everything I taught you," he was saying. "Remember who you are. Remember that you're not what they made you. You're what you choose to become." She woke with tears on her face. "Bad dream?" Reyes asked. "Memory." Elena wiped her eyes. "My father, the night he saved me." "Tell me about him." So Elena talked. For hours, as the miles rolled past, she told Reyes about Daniel Vance, his quiet strength, his gentle humor, The way he'd sneak her extra food when the rations were short. The stories he'd tell about the outside world, a world she'd never seen, but desperately wanted to know. "He sounds like a good man," Reyes said. "He was the best man I ever knew, and they killed him for it. We're going to make them pay." "I know." They reached Montana as the sun was setting. The facility was exactly where the database said it would be, a complex of buildings half buried in the mountainside, surrounded by chain-link fencing and warning signs about mining operations. Elena surveyed the perimeter through binoculars. 2 guards at the main gate, camera coverage on the fence line. Looks like Helen's intel was accurate. Minimal security. Entry point. Service tunnel on the north side. Old mine shaft that connects to the main facility. Elena lowered the binoculars. "We go in fast, neutralize the guards, find my mother, and get out. And if there are more defenses inside, then we adapt." They moved as darkness fell. The service tunnel was cramped and smelled of decades-old dust. Elena led her flashlight, cutting through the blackness, her weapon ready. After 200 meters, they reached a door, rusted but functional. Elena tested the handle. Locked. She pulled out her picks. 30 seconds later, the door swung open. The facility beyond was silent. Long corridors, flickering lights, the hum of old generators struggling to maintain power. "This way," Elena whispered, following the layout she'd memorized. "Detention wing is on the lower level." They descended stairs that groaned under their weight. The air grew colder, damper. They were deep underground now, deep enough that no one would hear screaming. The detention wing held 12 cells. 11 were empty. The 12th contained a woman. She was thin, painfully thin, with gray hair that might have been dark once. Her eyes were closed, but her chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. "Mom." The word came out as a whisper. Elena's hands trembled as she worked the cell lock. "Mom, can you hear me?" The woman's eyes opened, and Elena saw herself. The same hazel eyes, the same high cheekbones, the same stubborn set to the jaw. "Who?" Margaret's voice was hoarse, damaged by years of disuse. "Who are you?" "I'm Elena." Tears streamed down Elena's face. "I'm your daughter. I'm here to take you home." Margaret stared at her. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then, "Elena, my Elena." "Yes, Mom, it's me." "They told me you were dead." Margaret's hand reached through the bars, trembling. "They told me they killed you with the others. They showed me photographs. They lied." Elena grasped her mother's hand. "I survived. I've been looking for you for 20 years. 20 years. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "You were 4 years old. 4 years old when they took me." "I know." "You have his eyes. Daniel's eyes." Margaret's voice broke. "Is he?" "He's gone, Mom. He died protecting the other children." Margaret closed her eyes. A sob racked her thin frame. "I knew. Somehow I knew." She opened her eyes. "But you survived. You survived, and you came for me." "I'll always come for you." The cell door opened. Elena helped her mother to her feet, supporting her weight as they moved toward the exit. "We need to move," Reyes warned. "I'm picking up radio chatter. Someone knows we're here." "How far to extraction?" "Half a mile, but we've got company coming." Elena looked at her mother, frail, barely able to walk, 20 years of captivity written in every line of her face. "Can you run, Mom?" Margaret met her eyes. The same fire that burned in Elena flickered behind the exhaustion. "For you, I can fly." They ran. Through corridors that blurred together. Up stairs that seemed endless. Past guards who fell to Elena's weapon before they could raise their own. The service tunnel was ahead. Freedom was ahead. And then a voice stopped them cold. "Elena Vance!" She spun. A man stood at the end of the corridor. Tall, distinguished, gray hair and cold eyes. "My name is Director Marcus Webb," he said. "I'm the 13th member of the commission, the one Helen never told you about." He raised his hand. 12 weapons emerged from the shadows around him. "And this is where your story ends." Elena's mind calculated angles, distances, probabilities. 12 armed operatives. 1 narrow corridor. Her mother barely able to stand. Reyes with a single magazine left. The math didn't work. "You're wondering if you can fight your way out," Webb said, reading her expression. "The answer is no. These aren't security guards, Elena. They're Genesis assets. The next generation. Faster than you. Stronger than you. Better than you in every measurable way." "Then why are you talking instead of shooting?" Webb smiled. "Because killing you would be a waste. Helen was right about one thing. You're the finest operator Nightfall ever produced. Your genetics, your training, your psychological profile, you're irreplaceable." "I've heard this offer before. From Whitmore, from Helen. The answer is still no." "This isn't an offer, it's a statement of fact." Webb stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back. "In approximately 4 minutes, a tactical team will arrive via helicopter. You'll be sedated, transported, and integrated into the Genesis program. Your mother will be returned to her cell. Your friend will be eliminated." Elena felt Reyes tense beside her. "And if I cooperate?" "Then your mother lives. Comfortably. With medical care, proper nutrition, perhaps even limited freedom." Webb's eyes flickered to Margaret. "She's suffered enough, don't you think, 20 years in a concrete box? All because of choices her husband made." "Don't listen to him," Margaret whispered. Her hand gripped Elena's arm. "Don't give them anything." "Mom, your father died so you could be free. Don't throw that away for me." Elena's jaw tightened. She looked at her mother, this woman she'd mourned for 20 years, this stranger who shared her blood, her face, her stubborn determination. "I'm not throwing anything away," Elena said quietly. "I'm finishing what Dad started." She moved, not toward Webb, not toward the operatives, toward the wall. Her hand found the emergency fire suppression panel. She'd memorized the facility layout, knew exactly where it would be. She smashed the glass and pulled the lever. The corridor exploded in chaos. Foam burst from ceiling nozzles, blinding the operatives. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights strobed red and white. Elena grabbed her mother and ran. Behind her, she heard Webb shouting orders. Heard gunfire, Reyes providing cover. Heard bodies hitting the floor. The service tunnel was 20 meters ahead. 15. 10. A Genesis operative emerged from the foam weapon raised. Elena didn't slow down. She dropped low, swept his legs, took his gun, and put 2 rounds in his chest before he hit the ground. 5 meters. The tunnel entrance loomed. Freedom was there just beyond the darkness. "Go!" Elena shoved her mother toward the opening. "Reyes, move!" Reyes appeared through the foam, blood streaming from a wound on her forehead. "I'm out. They're right behind us." "Then we run faster." They plunged into the tunnel. The darkness swallowed them. Elena led, one hand on the wall, the other supporting her mother. Reyes brought up the rear, her breathing ragged. Behind them, flashlights pierced the black. Voices echoed. Footsteps pounded. "They're gaining!" Reyes gasped. "I know." "Elena, if we don't make it..." "We're making it." The tunnel curved. Elena remembered 50 more meters to the exit. 50 meters to the mountainside. To the vehicle waiting in the darkness. 40 meters. 30. A hand grabbed her ankle. Elena went down hard, her mother tumbling beside her. A Genesis operative had caught up, was crawling through the darkness with inhuman speed. Elena kicked, connected with his face. He didn't let go. "Run!" she screamed at her mother. "Get to the exit. Reyes, take her." "I'm not leaving you." "That's an order." The operative was on top of her now, hands closing around her throat. Young, maybe 17. His eyes were empty, no fear, no hesitation, No humanity. Just mission. Elena understood that emptiness. She'd lived with it for years. But she wasn't empty anymore. She had Maya. She had her mother. She had something to fight for beyond survival. And that made her stronger than any training. She drove her thumb into the operative's eye. He screamed finally, a human sound, and his grip loosened. Elena reversed their positions, and slammed his head into the tunnel floor. Once, twice, 3 times. He stopped moving. Elena scrambled to her feet and ran. The exit was ahead. Moonlight spilled through the opening. She could see Reyes silhouetted against the sky helping Margaret through. 10 meters. 5. She burst into the open-air lungs, burning legs, screaming. "The car!" Reyes was already moving, half-carrying Margaret toward the tree line. "Elena, come on!" Elena sprinted. Behind her, more operatives emerged from the tunnel. Weapons fired. Bullets whipped past her head. The car was there. Engine running. Thomas behind the wheel. "Get in!" Elena dove into the back seat. Reyes shoved Margaret in beside her. Doors slammed. Thomas floored it. The car lurched forward, tires spraying gravel. Behind them, the operatives fired until the darkness swallowed the muzzle flashes. Then silence. Elena lay on the back seat, gasping. Her mother was pressed against her, trembling. Reyes was in the front, checking her wounds. "Is everyone alive?" Thomas's voice was tight. "We're alive," Elena managed. "Webb." "Still back there, with whatever's left of his team." Thomas nodded grimly. "Then we're not done." "No." Elena pushed herself upright. "We're not." They drove through the night. Thomas had arranged a safe house in Missoula, a cabin owned by a former intelligence officer who owed him favors. They arrived as dawn painted the mountains pink and gold. Elena helped her mother inside. Margaret was exhausted, barely conscious, but she refused to let go of Elena's hand. "Stay with me," Margaret whispered. "Just for a little while. I've missed so much." "I'm not going anywhere, Mom." She sat beside her mother's bed, holding her hand, watching her sleep. 20 years of captivity had stolen so much: her health, her youth, her life with the family she'd created. But Margaret was alive. She was free. That was enough. For now. Reyes found Elena an hour later, still sitting vigil. "Thomas is on the phone with Olivia. The FBI is preparing warrants for Webb and the remaining commission members. Will it be enough?" The evidence from Helen's servers, what wasn't purged, it names names, dates, operations, combined with Olivia's testimony and what we recovered from Facility Echo. Reyes shrugged. "It's enough to start. The rest will come." "And the children?" "Safe. Maya's been asking about you." Reyes smiled slightly. "She's a tough kid. Reminds me of someone." Elena looked at her mother's sleeping face. "She's my sister. I have a sister. You have a family now. A real one." Reyes touched her shoulder. "Don't waste it, Elena. Don't let revenge consume everything." "It's not revenge anymore." "Then what is it?" Elena was quiet for a long moment. "Purpose," she finally said. "Something worth fighting for." 3 days later, Elena sat across from Admiral Catherine Shaw in a secure facility outside Washington. Shaw was exactly as Thomas had described, sharp, formidable, and completely dedicated to dismantling the system that had protected the Commission for 40 years. "Director Webb went underground 12 hours ago," Shaw reported. "We have assets tracking him, but he has resources. It may take months to locate him." "I'll find him faster." "I don't doubt it." Shaw leaned forward. "Which brings me to why I asked you here." "I'm listening." "The Commission is exposed, but Genesis isn't dead. Helen was right about one thing: the ideology behind these programs exists in agencies around the world. Different names, different methods, same fundamental philosophy. Child soldiers, weapons programs, operations without oversight." "Exactly." Shaw pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. "I'm establishing a new unit. Officially, we don't exist. Our mandate is to identify and dismantle these programs wherever they operate, domestically, internationally, wherever the trail leads. Elena opened the folder. Inside were personnel files, Reyes Thomas Olivia Whitmore, and several names she didn't recognize. You want me to lead it? I want you to build it, your team, your methods, your rules. Shaw's eyes were intense. You know how these programs think. You know how they hide. You know how to find them. And when we find them, then you do what you do best. You tear them apart. Shaw stood. The unit is called Project Oversight. You'll have full authority to investigate classified programs operating outside legal boundaries. Resources, intelligence support, whatever you need. Elena studied the folder. A team. A mission. A chance to protect other children from the nightmare she'd survived. A chance to honor her father's sacrifice. One condition, she said. Name it. Maya. The Phoenix children. They get full support psychological care education, whatever they need to build real lives. No one uses them again. Ever. Agreed. And my mother. She stays with me, protected. Also agreed. Shaw extended her hand. Do we have a deal? Commander Vance? Elena looked at the folder, then at Shaw, then at her own hands. Hands that had killed, had fought, had survived against impossible odds. Hands that could protect instead of destroy. She took Shaw's hand. We have a deal. 1 month later, Elena stood in the new Oversight Operations Center. It was a converted warehouse in Alexandria, Virginia, anonymous from outside, state-of-the-art within. Screens covered the walls displaying intelligence feeds from around the world. Reyes manned a communication station. Thomas coordinated logistics. Olivia Whitmore, who had resigned from the Pentagon to join them, managed legal operations and evidence chains. And Maya sat at a small desk in the corner doing homework. She'd refused to leave Elena's side since the rescue. The psychologist said it was attachment, the need for security after years of trauma. Elena understood. She'd felt the same way about her father. The Senator Mitchell case is closed, Reyes reported. The FBI arrested the last 2 operatives this morning. Genesis activity. Nothing confirmed, but we're tracking chatter in Eastern Europe, something called Project Aurora. Could be related. Elena nodded. Put it on the board. I want full analysis by end of week. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She read it twice, then a third time. Elena. Thomas noticed her expression. What is it? She held up the phone so he could see. The message read, Webb is in Buenos Aires, warehouse district. Come alone or your mother dies. You have 48 hours. Thomas's face darkened. It's a trap. Obviously. You're not actually considering. He has someone watching my mother, someone we haven't found yet. Elena's voice was calm. Which means he has assets we haven't identified. Assets that could threaten Maya, the Phoenix children, everyone we're trying to protect. So we increase security. We find the mole. In 48 hours? Elena shook her head. He's forcing my hand. He knows I won't risk my mother. Not again. Then I'm coming with you. No, you're staying here, protecting everyone while I'm gone. Elena looked around the operations center. This is what matters now. The mission, the children. If something happens to me, nothing is going to happen to you. If something happens to me, Elena repeated, you keep this going. Promise me. Thomas was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. I promise. Elena turned to Maya, who had stopped doing homework and was watching with wide eyes. Hey kiddo, come here. Maya crossed the room and wrapped her arms around Elena. She was still too thin, still too quiet, still carrying scars that might never fully heal. But she was alive. She was safe. She was loved. You're leaving, Maya said. It wasn't a question. For a little while, I have to finish something. The bad man, the one who hurt us. Yes. Maya pulled back and looked up at her. Those hazel eyes, their father's eyes, were filled with something Elena recognized. Determination. "Kill him," Maya said quietly. "Kill him so he can never hurt anyone again." Elena touched her sister's face. "I will. And then come back." "I will. Promise." Elena pulled her close again. "I promise." The flight to Buenos Aires took 14 hours. Elena spent most of it reviewing Webb's file, everything they'd gathered since his exposure. Former CIA. Recruited to the commission in 1989. Rose through the ranks by being more ruthless, more efficient, more willing to do whatever the mission required. Helen had called him the 13th member. The shadow behind shadows. Now, he was a hunted man. Assets frozen. Identity exposed. Networks collapsing around him. But cornered animals were the most dangerous. Elena landed at Aziza International and disappeared into the city. She spent 24 hours conducting surveillance. The warehouse Webb had specified was exactly what she expected. Isolated, defensible, perfect for an ambush. She didn't care. Whatever trap he'd laid, she would walk into it. Because that's what he needed to believe, that she was desperate alone, willing to die for her family. What he didn't know was that desperation and strategy weren't mutually exclusive. At midnight on the second day, Elena approached the warehouse. No weapons visible. Hands open. Exactly as instructed. The door was unlocked. She pushed it open and stepped inside. Webb stood at the center of the empty space, flanked by 4 operatives. He looked older than she remembered, more tired, more desperate. "You came alone," he said. "I'm impressed. Where is the person watching my mother?" "Safe. For now." Webb smiled thinly. "That depends entirely on how this conversation goes. So talk. I want a deal. Safe passage out of the country. New identity. Enough resources to disappear permanently." Webb spread his hands. "In exchange, I give you everything. The remaining Genesis assets. The foreign programs Helen never knew about. Every secret I've accumulated in 40 years. You think I'd let you walk away after everything you've done? I think you're a pragmatist, like your father was before sentiment destroyed him." Webb's eyes narrowed. "The information I have could save thousands of lives. Is your revenge worth more than that?" Elena was silent. For a long moment, she let him believe she was considering it. Let him believe he still had leverage. Then she smiled. "You made one mistake, Webb." "What's that?" "You assumed I came alone." The warehouse doors burst open. Reyes led a team of 6 former special operators Elena had recruited over the past month. They moved with precision weapons trained on Webb's operatives. "Stand down!" Reyes shouted. "You're surrounded." Webb's face contorted with rage. "You lied. I learned from the best." Elena stepped forward. "The person watching my mother. We found them 3 hours ago. They're in FBI custody now, along with the evidence they were carrying. This changes nothing. Kill me and my files go public. Every dirty secret the American government has buried for 50 years. No, they don't." Elena pulled out a phone and showed him the screen. "Helen's encryption protocols. The same ones she used to protect commission files. We cracked them last week." Webb's face went pale. "Your insurance policy is gone. Your assets are gone. Your leverage is gone." Elena stepped closer. "It's just you now. Just you and the consequences of everything you've done." "You can't do this. I know things. Things that could bring down... I don't care what you know." Elena's voice was ice. 37 children died in Facility Echo. 30 more almost joined them. My father was murdered. My mother spent 20 years in a cell. She pulled out her weapon. "This isn't about information. This is about justice." Webb's eyes darted to his operatives. "Kill her. Kill them all." Nobody moved. "They work for me now," Elena said. "Have for the past 2 weeks. Turns out Genesis assets are very good at following orders, they just needed someone worth following. Webb's last hope died in his eyes. "Please," he whispered. "I can help you. I can give you names, operations, everything you need to. I already have everything I need." Elena raised her weapon. "Wait." Webb held up his hands. "Your father. I knew him. I was there when he died. Don't you want to know what he said?" His last words. Elena's finger tightened on the trigger, then released. "Tell me." He said to tell you he was sorry, that he should have gotten you out sooner, that everything he did was for you." Webb's voice cracked. "He loved you, Elena. More than the mission. More than his own life." Elena's vision blurred. For 20 years, she'd carried her father's memory like a weapon. His training, his lessons, his sacrifice. But she'd never known his final words. Never known what he was thinking in those last moments. Now she did. And it changed nothing. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for telling me that." Then she pulled the trigger. Webb crumpled to the floor. The warehouse was silent. Elena lowered her weapon and looked at Reyes. "It's done." "It's done," Reyes agreed. "What now?" Elena thought about her mother recovering in the Alexandria safe house. About Maya doing homework while surrounded by people who would protect her. About the Phoenix children slowly learning that the world wasn't all darkness. About her father who had died believing she would survive. "Now we go home," Elena said, "and we keep fighting." 2 weeks later, Elena stood in Arlington National Cemetery. A new stone had been added to the memorial wall. The name was simple. No rank, no dates, just letters carved into black granite. Daniel Vance, beloved father. Hero. Margaret stood beside her, leaning on Elena's arm for support. She was stronger now, eating regular meals, seeing doctors, slowly rejoining the world of the living. Maya stood on Elena's other side, small hand clasped in hers. "He would have loved you," Margaret said softly, looking at Maya. "Both of you. He always wanted a big family." "He got one," Elena replied. "It just took a while to find each other." Thomas approached holding a file folder. "Sorry to interrupt, but Admiral Shaw needs you back at headquarters. Something came up." "What kind of something?" "New intelligence. A program in Southeast Asia. Children being trafficked for training." Thomas's jaw tightened. "It's big, Elena. Bigger than Genesis." Elena looked at the memorial stone, at her father's name, at the legacy she was building in his honor. "Maya, stay with Mom. I'll be back tonight." "You always say that." "And I always come back." Elena kissed her sister's forehead. "That's the deal." She walked away from the memorial toward the waiting car, toward the next mission, the next fight. Behind her, Margaret and Maya watched her go. "She's just like him," Margaret whispered. "Just like Daniel." "Is that good?" Maya asked. Margaret smiled through her tears. "It's the best thing in the world." That night, Elena stood alone on the oversight building's roof. The Washington skyline glittered beneath her. Somewhere in those lights, decisions were being made that would shape the world. Some good, some evil, most somewhere in between. Her job was to find the evil and destroy it. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She read it without surprise. "The commission is dead, but there are others, watching, waiting. This isn't over." Elena typed her response. "I know, I'm counting on it." She pocketed the phone and looked at the stars. Her father had taught her to navigate by starlight, had taught her to find her way through any darkness. Now she was the one lighting the way. For Maya, for the Phoenix children, for every child who would never have to become what she had become. The tattoo on her wrist caught the moonlight, a crescent moon pierced by 3 arrows. The mark of nightfall, the symbol of everything she'd survived. She touched it gently. "I kept my promise, Dad," she whispered. "I survived. I found Mom. I protected Maya. The wind carried her words into the darkness. And I'm just getting started. Elena Vance walked back into the building. The broken sword had been reforged, and it would never stop cutting.